and what we call debt distress environment. And those ones, whether or not there was a crisis, would have probably gotten into a lot of trouble. There were about 5 to 6 of them on the continent. Zimbabwe, South Sudan, Sudan, Eritrea, Congo, and Mozambique. You can see that from this list, the only really real economies there were Congo and Mozambique. The rest, Zimbabwe has been in huge arrears for a very long time. Sudan has been on the state-sponsored terrorism list forever. And so, in some sense, all this to say that of the over 50 countries of the continent, we only had about 6 or 7 countries in the debt distress category before the crisis. And this is a very important point, because as the crisis has hit, there has been a huge avalanche of conversations around debt. And I think we have confounded the conversation between liquidity and debt. And it's very important to understand and split that difference. And just to put it in a broader context, when you look at the United States is about to give itself $6 trillion. They've already given $4 trillion, and they're about to add another $2 trillion of liquidity into the economy called stimulus, right? This is essentially to just keep the economies going. We're not yet talking, it's to ensure that companies don't go bankrupt, it's to ensure that, and we're asking for the same kinds of support. And that's why the Economic Commission for Africa, immediately the crisis hit, we had a meeting, and I actually sent a letter to the World Bank and the IMF saying, the first thing we need is for the international community to allow African countries not to service their debt, because we can use those resources that we were going to put towards debt service to immediately begin to respond to the crisis. At the time, it was buying PPEs and doing the different things that we needed to do. Many countries had also then asked their local companies not to pay taxes, which means that they were also short of income. Overall, in all, essentially saying, let's address the liquidity issue. In 2020, that liquidity issue gave us $9 billion almost of new liquidity. Now going forward, we're still saying Africa has not gotten all the resources that it needs to address the crisis. So we're pushing for the special drawing rights. Again, in the 2008 financial crisis, the developed world, the G20, needed more liquidity. So they issued new special drawing rights for themselves to the tune of $1 trillion and over. We are asking that $500 billion of new special drawing rights be issued, for which a special reallocation formula be given to Africa, so we get some additional liquidity. We are also asking for $100 billion of additional resources that should come from institutions like the World Bank, so from multilateral development agencies, that can help bridge that gap. So these are all the different sort of instruments that we at the Economic Commission for Africa. And the final one that we're putting together is something that we're calling the Liquidity and Sustainability Facility. Now, just to give you a sense, Greece has about the same credit rating as Cote d'Ivoire. They're BB plus in the markets. But Greece just issued a bond recently for 78 basis points. Cote d'Ivoire went to the market for 500 basis points. So the cost of capital for Africa is so high that it would lead us into a debt crisis if we're not careful. So we're also arguing that we should create some facilities that will help reduce the cost of access to markets, so that countries can actually go and lend and at reasonable rates. So those are the things that we're doing as the Economic Commission for Africa to help bridge that gap.
Oh, interesting.
Pretty technical things, and I'm not sure. So anyway, there you are.
Very much. I'll allow my colleague Peter